My name is Mike Jimenez, and this is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from San Antonio, Texas. Joe Garcia producing today's show, looking effing cute in his Dallas Cowboys gear.
I'm always looking good in my Dallas Cowboy gear, and you're wearing your NOLA gear.
My NOLA gear, baby. I even got the beads and everything. Didn't have to show any boobies to make it happen, but my
you
goodness.
did show boobies over here because you had to change your shirt.
That is true. You're like, why aren't you wearing your same shirt? I had my hat. I had my beads. I was like, dude, I got a T-shirt in the car.
No, you earned those beads right before you got in here.
Hey, we're live on Facebook, YouTube. We're live on Twitter. You can also catch us as a podcast as well on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all of that stuff. The YouTube line's already up and running. Again, if you want to be part of the show, you can leave a comment or two. I have sobered up a bit. Saturday, I tied one on, I believe is how they phrase it. I got tore up.
You got to answer for your crimes, dude, against UTSA fans.
You know, they say that when you're drunk, you speak the truth. I spoke the truth. I said what I said about UTSA's crowd. It was garbage.
No,
it was garbage. But you know what? The tailgate was pretty good. I bet
it was, man. I knew that's where you were going to get tore up, man.
Oh, I only had about 6 or 7 shots in the parking lot.
6 or 7?
Only 6
That doesn't include the beer that you were drinking.
Didn't include the beer or the margs that I had. So the margarita's inside. But it was a good night. Had Gus's chicken to end the night. But we have a lot to get into. How about them Cowboys? Oh, wait. Let me say that correctly. How about them Cowboys? Woo! Man.
Yeah, man.
Beat
really.
the living crap out of the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football.
Shutout.
They're in New Jersey, 40-0, pitching a shutout. Cowboys looked really good. Other teams around the NFL look good. The Niners. You know what? Brock Purdy. I'm becoming a believer in Brock Purdy.
That 49ers surprised the shit out of me, dude.
Dude, they are looking good again. Jalen Hurts led the Eagles to a last-minute win in New England. My New Orleans Saints have something in common with the Dallas Cowboys. Didn't give up a touchdown.
Yeah, they didn't.
Gave up 5 field goals, but no touchdowns. Bend, don't break, baby. We'll talk about college football. UTSA got a big win over Texas State, still undefeated against the Bobcats, but Frank Harris is hurt. That might be an issue for future games to come. We'll also talk about the Texas Longhorns. I was wrong. I thought the Longhorns had no chance of beating the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Nick
but
Saban.
They went in there to Bama, to Tuscaloosa, and just dropped the hammer on Nick Saban and Alabama. Unreal. So where does UT lie when it comes to the rankings and things like that? This is going to be a good conversation. This is going to be a good show. You know, there's also a new rule that might take effect in the NBA that would have pissed off Coach Pop years ago.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get into that. We'll also talk some entertainment news as well. Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, we got to give an update on that because those two canceled themselves, baby.
Damn.
They canceled themselves. And you know what? Screw them. I like them both. Screw them. And by the way, we have to have a conversation about that 70s show because there's more to it than just those two and Danny Masterson, the serial rapist that was on that show.
There was accusations, I think, made against most of the crowd.
Wilmer Valderrama, grooming
Wilmer.
Lindsay Lohan, going out with women who weren't even women. They were 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
The dude was 30. Okay, we need to have a conversation. Like Leonardo DiCaprio goes after 25, 26-year-old women and is creepy when he does it. But they're adults and he's an adult.
Yeah.
But the whole grooming thing, and there's vindication for Topher Grace, who was the other guy who played Eric Foreman on that show. He hated his cast members. He hated them. He was like, I don't want to hang out with any of you guys.
Said, fuck them kids.
Dude, this morning, I listened to a podcast from 2 years ago.
Oh, God.
It was him and Whitney Cummings, the comedian.
Yeah.
And apparently they're really close friends. Going back and listening to him talk about the fact that he didn't want to hang out with his castmates, there was something going on there. And he was like, screw you guys. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
Yeah.
Lots going on.
Let's go ahead and get some shout outs, man. We got Christopher Lehi in here. He says, Puro who dat a la verga. And of course, he's going to say the same thing about his Astros. He's an Astros fan, avid Astros fan.
Think about that, man. For a lot of Cowboy fans out there, they are also UT fans. Yeah. This might have been the greatest weekend of sports for local football fans in a long time because you had UTSA win, you had UT win, and you had the Dallas Cowboys who looked like Super Bowl contenders last night. And don't get me wrong, I called the Cowboys on Friday.
Oh, yeah, no.
I said it would be funny if they lost, but I
Yeah.
called them to win. When I had to make my official, who do I think is going to win? I picked the Cowboys, okay?
You know what's funny, too? Mike Taylor, dude, he doubled down on his awful take, and he said that he picked the Giants to win the division. And he goes, I'm not going to back down just because the Cowboys won one game. He's still picking the Giants to win the division.
And that's the thing, man. This is just 1 week.
It's 1 week.
And for Cowboy fans to be excited about a 40-0 thumping of the New York Giants, I get it. I'd be excited too. I am excited that my Saints won 16-15 over Tennessee. Now, what did I say the final score was going to be? 16-13.
16-13.
And it was 16-15.
Yeah, 16-15.
It was pretty damn close. So here's the thing. It is just 1 week. I'm a fan of the Saints. You're a fan of the Cowboys. We've had seasons where we blow up in week 1. I remember my Saints 2 years ago destroyed Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Destroyed them. It was like 38-6. And did the Saints do anything that year? No, they did not, because it was just one game. But still, I'd rather be on the 40-0 side of a victory than the 0-40 loss. Okay, so Cowboy fans should be excited. UT fans should be very, very excited right now.
Look at Christopher Leja. You spoke pendejadas, bro.
First of all, we will get to that in a moment. Let's not get sidetracked by the rundown that we supposedly have.
Yeah,
because I just walked in the door here 6 minutes ago. Okay,
I don't got nothing. I'm like, bro, we're just gonna talk NFL, NFL and UTSA.
I'll try to sound all professional over here, but my goodness, the rankings came out in college football. Texas Longhorns looking pretty good. We'll get into that in a moment.
Hey, that was an impressive win.
It was
impressive win.
It was, and it was even more impressive was that I saw it on 3 different TVs. Not because I was watching 3 different TVs. No. It's because I was watching one, but I was so drunk that I had blurred vision, and I had TVs on the left, center, and right. I was just focusing on the middle. I was like Rocky Balboa, just hit the one in the middle. I see 3 of them out there. Hit the one in the middle. Paulie with the greatest line of that particular episode. But here's the thing: Dallas Cowboys last night. Watching that game, seeing the Giants take that first drive all the way down into the red zone, and it got the feeling of, here we go.
They had that momentum from the get-go of that game.
Saquon was finding some holes out there. Daniel Jones was scrambling.
He was running.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is a great runner, man. This is a guy that can get 50 to 60 yards per game.
They're a well-oiled machine.
Yeah,
right out the gate. And there's like, you can't stop us.
And then you had the block.
The block punt.
You had the pick 6, or was it a fumble recovery for a touchdown? I remember.
Yeah, they had 2. It was a pick 6, and they had more than one fumble.
Yeah, so it got over in a hurry, man. That game was over in a freaking hurry. It was like, wait a minute. It looked like the Giants were doing well. It was pouring rain over there.
And an hour before it started really raining, dude.
Yeah.
Kickoff, yeah.
So when the Cowboys got up ahead, I tweeted out there yesterday, this was the greatest recipe ever for the Dallas Cowboys, which is have a top 5 defense and do not rely on Dak Prescott to win the game for you. Have him manage the game. Now, when I say manage the game, I'm not saying Trent Dilfer style.
Yeah.
Okay, because Dak Prescott is 100 times the quarterback that Trent Dilfer ever was. But Trent Dilfer, he has a ring.
Yeah, he does.
So it's Dak's job not to mess up. Now, back in the day when Tony Romo was under center for the Cowboys, it was all about Tony Romo trying to will the team to victory. Tony Romo did not have much help on the defensive side of the ball. But what Dan Quinn is putting together over there for Dallas is huge, because it was beyond Micah Parsons, who's a man out there, but DeMarcus Lawrence, and then you've got the studs on the corners as well, the DBs. This is a very strong team defensively, And as long as they can stay disciplined, as long as there's not defensive holdings, as long as they're not jumping the line of scrimmage, as long as they play within themselves, this is a team that can win games. Because you win. How do you win in the playoffs? Defense and running. Defense and running. And speaking of running, there was no Zeke Elliott.
Oh, no. The game just seemed to open up a lot more for the Cowboys, especially from the running perspective of things. They had a well-oiled machine. They had a game plan, and their running backs, they played beautifully, man.
Tony Pollard yesterday, 14 carries, just 14.
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, 70 yards rushing. He also had 2 receptions for 12 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 4 receptions for 77, including a 49-yarder. Brandon Cooks, in his debut for the Cowboys, 2 receptions for 22 yards. We did see Rico Dowdle out there, 6 carries for 24 yards. It's the Rico Dowdles of the world that'll make it easier for Tony Pollard to be that RB1.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're not expecting Tony Pollard to ever get 22 to 25 carries. He should be right around 14 to 17, 14 to 18, but hopefully 20 touches total because of receptions. But Rico Dowdle, if he can go out there and just move the chains, get 3 yards, get 4 yards, get 5 yards, it makes it all work. Kevontae Turpin with also a rushing touchdown. He had 3 carries for 14 yards. And then Deuce Vaughn, 6 carries out there. Take a look at the play calling for the Cowboys. 30 rushes, 25 runs. Now, part of that's going to be the fact that they got ahead so quickly, up 16-0 after 1, 26-0 at halftime. Dak Prescott didn't have to do anything. 13 for 24, 143 yards, no touchdown throws, no interceptions. If you have him in fantasy football, you're probably pissed off right now because he did not put up any fantasy numbers.
He didn't have an impressive outing, but he didn't really need to because the defense was so impressive in this
7
game.
sacks.
I mean, it was amazing to see. The defense looks like it's a Super Bowl contender, the defense for the Dallas Cowboys. And the thing is, when they went ahead and took out their starters and they put in their bench, the bench players played remarkably well to close out the game.
Yeah.
You know, you had Leighton Vander Esch cheering them on there on the sidelines. You know, the guys were all excited and they're just cheering on their teammates. But for the starters to just step aside and have a shutout, I'm just like, damn, that defense, they were really impressive week 1.
To pitch the shutout is a big thing. Deron Bland with a pick 6, 22-yard touchdown. Stephon Gilmore, welcome to the team with a touchdown as well. I like what Joe Gonzalez has to say on our YouTube chat line. Says, I think McCarthy adjusted to the ass beating. No need to have Dak throw for 400 yards. Run the ball and don't F up. Game management. Dude, if your defense is going to get you 7 sacks, that's just the times they got to the quarterback. That's not counting the times that they pressured their way into the backfield. This is a very, very manly defense. When you're talking about players like, Jaron Kearse, who was doing well out there, had 2 solo tackles. Bell, 8 total tackles, 6 solo tackles. Leighton Vander Esch, 6 solo tackles. Malik Hooker had 5 tackles as well. Even Stephon Gilmore had 4. Trayvon Diggs had 3. Micah Parsons, though.
He was a beast, dude.
Micah Parsons not only gives you the stats, but you get stats from Micah Parsons that don't exist. It's just the fact that you needed to have 2 people guarding him. There was some plays in the first quarter when the Giants were moving the ball and the score was scoreless. You saw 2 people going after DeMarcus Lawrence, 2 people going after Micah Parsons, and it was kind of like a jumbo set that the Giants were trying to do, and it was working for a while there, but the dam broke quickly against the Giants. Cowboys going on to win 40-0, take on the New York Jets at Jerry World on Sunday afternoon. We're going to see what the Jets look like tonight
against the Bills.
So already the Cowboys have an advantage there because one less day of rest for the New York Jets. Now, I know we're early in the season.
Yeah.
But still, congratulations to the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboy fans. There is reason to be excited. There really is reason to be excited because, my goodness, the team played an A-plus game, an A-plus effort out there. Very, very, very cool. Other games going on yesterday. Bijan Robinson had his first touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
24-10, the Falcons beat the Panthers.
The Falcons were, I'd like to say, surprising.
I'm not going to get excited. They played the Panthers.
They were surprising to me.
They were home against the Panthers.
Yeah,
that's a layover win.
To me, that was a surprising effort by the Falcons. That's all I'm saying. It was surprising.
Do you know what was surprising? Joe Burrow stinking up the joint. Well, maybe it shouldn't be surprising. He did miss the entire preseason because of an injury. He came back just in time to start the season. Browns go off to win 24-3. Jamar Chase talking trash after the game, saying that that he feels so bad losing to the Browns. He's like, I lost to those guys over there.
Yeah,
he was talking about the DBs over there, saying, I cannot believe we lost to them. Jaguars 31-21 over the Colts. Anthony Richardson starting for the Colts got hurt the last drive of the game. Looked pretty decent, but again, that pick that he threw late in the fourth quarter, Trevor Lawrence, the guy's a stud, man. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, he is a stud, but you got to give it to the Colts. They played a lot better than I thought they would.
Yeah, exactly. Without their star running back as well. The Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield got a win on the road against the Minnesota Vikings.
Fucking Baker Mayfield, dude.
Baker Mayfield, 21 of 34, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins threw for 344, but man, what happened there? Justin Jefferson went for 150. Jordan Addison had a touchdown in his debut for the Vikings, and somehow, some way, they lost the game to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers starting off 1-0. That is a pretty big upset right there.
Hey, man, pour some out for Brandon Big Papi Medina, dude. He came in here and did Fantasy Gods in full-on Vikings gear and everything. So excited to go watch his team play, and they laid an egg, man.
New Orleans Saints beat the Tennessee Titans 16-15. As I was telling some friends yesterday, Chris Leha being one of them from MCS, telling him, hey, you need to win these games to make the playoffs. The Saints were favored by 3. They won by 1. Okay, but this was a game where Derek Carr was under center for the Saints for the first time in his career. Saints got him in the offseason after the Raiders got rid of him. 23 for 33, 305 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But beyond that, the Saints got Ryan Tannehill for 3 interceptions. The Saints defense bended but did not break. Every once in a while, you'd have a fumble for the Saints, was giving Tennessee some life throughout the game. But the fact of the matter is that you had 4 turnovers on Tennessee's side. Fact of the matter is, when you take a look at what the Saints defense was able to do with 3 sacks, 3 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, dude, that defense is looking pretty good.
It was.
And this was a team that also did not have Alvin Kamara because Kamara was out because of a suspension. And they are also without one of their backup running backs as well. So shorthanded, they went out there. But my goodness, for the Saints, Chris Olave, 8 receptions, 112 yards. And there was a Michael Thomas sighting yesterday. 5 receptions, 61 yards. Rashid Shaheed also had a big game for the Saints, getting the winning touchdown as well. 5 receptions, 89 yards. The Saints go on to win the game 1-0. I'm excited for the Saints because this is a very, very easy schedule for the Saints this year.
Look at Jonathan C. What the hell happened to the Bengals? Embarrassing.
Saints play on Monday Night Football next week against the Carolina Panthers, so we get to see that and get really excited about it. But other big wins yesterday. The Philadelphia Eagles went down to the very, very, very end, went down to the last drive of the last quarter, but the Eagles finally pulled out that win against the New England Patriots, 25-20. And Jalen Hurts did not exactly look good.
He did not. And that was a hard-fought game by the Patriots. In a game where we saw Tom Brady come out and don the Patriots jersey one more time. Mm-hmm. And that got the crowd going. And the Patriots, to their credit, they played a very hard-fought game against the Eagles. The Eagles, they did what they should have done. They should have won this game. The Patriots, they kind of surprised me. They're a scrappy team.
Yeah.
Very scrappy team.
They are a scrappy team. I like them. I mean, they got the hoodie.
Yeah.
They've got the hoodie. They're going to figure it out at some point, but man, they played the Eagles very well. Eagles getting that victory 1-0. Las Vegas Raiders 17-16 over the Denver Broncos. Sorry for the Broncos and their new head coach.
I'm not.
He's to be. I'm not going to say his name. Sorry, Sean Payton. Jacoby Myers, new wide receiver for the Raiders, who played for the New England Patriots. 9 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Both of those touchdown passes coming from one of the hottest men you'll ever see, Jimmy G.
Jimmy G.
Respect. I mean, what else am I going to say, dude? I mean, what else am I going to say? Arizona Cardinals looked like they were going to come away with a victory, but the Commanders come back to win 20-16. Sam Howell kept it for the go-ahead rushing touchdown. 20-16. Commanders are now 1-0, along with the Cowboys and Eagles atop the NFC East.
That was the toilet bowl game of the week, dude.
Well, that might have also been the Ravens against the Texans. The Texans did not see the end zone, losing 25-9. Lamar Jackson getting the job done. It looks more and more like, as excited as we are about the Houston Texans, it might be a second half thing for that team. Kind of like how the Lions laid that foundation where they were like 1-6, 1-7, but they ended the year 6-11. It's like, well, they played good on the back end, but then again, couldn't you say that Justin Fields did that last year, where Justin Fields went out there and had a chance and it was like showing life, like, hey, Justin Fields, Chicago Bears quarterback, was one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks the last 7 or 8 games of the season, goes out there, and you know what? The Packers still own the Chicago Bears. Sorry, Carolina Teague, man, with a great tweet last night saying that the Bears marketing department is stellar because they had her believing in this team, and now she is off the bandwagon. And speaking of bandwagons, can we start the Jordan Love bandwagon?
Oh, no.
Oh my goodness, Jordan Love, 15 for 27, 245, 3 touchdowns. As Annie Agar posted yesterday on Twitter, just give the ball to Aaron freaking Jones. It's like they forgot that he was on that team. Aaron Jones, a touchdown on the ground and in the air, 86 yards receiving, 41 yards rushing. Packers beat the Bears 38-20, pissing off a lot of Bear fans because they were all believing. We got Justin Fields, baby. He's going to be like Jalen Hurts. He's going to take that Jalen Hurts leap.
This Mike Baez is on something right now, man. I like this one. The Bears were embarrassing.
Spelled EMBEARASSING. How difficult is it to get your ass handed to you by the same team over and over and over again? Okay, let's go ahead and talk about also the 49ers on the road against the Steelers. A lot of people believe in the Steelers. I even picked the Steelers.
Yeah.
We have to start talking about the fact that Brock Purdy might actually be a top 10 quarterback.
He might be for real, dude. I mean, the 49ers look very impressive.
We've been hesitant about this for the longest time because it's been like, it's because the defense is so good. And it's because he has Christian McCaffrey. No, don't get me wrong. Yeah. McCaffrey, 152 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. He also hauled in 3 catches. Brandon Ayuk, who I have on my fantasy team with the fantasy gods over here, 8 receptions, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Brock Purdy is somebody who just doesn't mess up.
He didn't, man.
And it's almost as though you take a look at it, 19 for 29, 220, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. What he is doing is exactly what Dak Prescott needs to do as well. Because defensively, I think the Niners are a little bit better defensively, but if you want to say that they're equals, I'm not going to argue about it.
Yeah.
I think quarterback-wise, talent-wise, Dak is better than Purdy. The thing is that Purdy doesn't throw the ball away.
He doesn't. You know, one of the things that I noticed about this 49ers team in their first outing here against the Steelers is that low-key here, they might have one of the most well-balanced teams in the league.
They are.
I mean, they look great, not only from their offensive perspective, but from their defensive perspective. And if they keep playing like this, they're going to be a really sneaky good team, man.
The Niners, you have to play an A- game or better to have a chance of beating that team. I like what Josh Jimenez says. Houston Texans missing 3 starters on the offensive line. Plus, the game was called to protect C.J. Stroud not to score. Bad performance, but that defense looks real good. C.J. Stroud making the record books yesterday because did you see the first pass that he had?
Yeah.
It was caught by C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
He threw. He was the receiver of his first throw because it got batted at the line and he caught it. Congratulations!
What a stat line, right?
Dude, Brock Purdy just looks so good out there, man. He looks so confident. And now you know why they got rid of Trey Lance. They're like, Trey Lance will never sniff the field as long as Brock Purdy is healthy out there. Chargers lost to the Dolphins. Tua with a huge game. Tua, my God, dude. Dolphins won 36-34. They came from behind to win that game. But Tua Tagovailoa, 466 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Do we need to have the conversation that maybe Tua is a top 10 quarterback? Maybe, just maybe, Dak Prescott's no longer in the top 10. You and I had this conversation last week. We were like, he's around 9 or 10, right?
Yeah.
Dak Prescott.
Always flirting with that, 9 or 10.
Okay, because we were like, okay, let's go through the list.
Yeah.
Who's better? Well, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron
Cousins.
Rodgers. Well, I wouldn't go to They're equals. They're equals.
But Cousins.
But Jalen Hurts, and you've got you've got Aaron Rodgers, and you've got a lot of different quarterbacks. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. You can go
Josh
through
Allen.
You can go through the list, and they're like, okay, well then it's Dak. Really? I mean, who would you rather have, Cowboy fans, Dak or Tua Tagovailoa?
Jeez, dude, Tua's looking good, man. In this week 1, he played inspired because I think he finally got tired of everybody talking shit about him.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? Fuck y'all. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to let my balls hang out.
Oh, speaking of which, Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator for the Chargers, first game, right? Formerly of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
He decides to go out there and rush the ball more than he asked for passes. He had 40 rush attempts compared to 33 passing attempts, rather. 40 rush, 33 pass, something he never did as a Cowboy offensive coordinator. and speaking of the Cowboys, though, the play calling by
McCarthy,
who knows if he did a good job or not. The defense won that game, so we don't know whether or not McCarthy called a good game or a bad game. He just called the game. I think you and I could have called that game.
Yeah, man.
And we would have been fine.
The kicker, though, for the Dallas Cowboys, he's got some shaky legs, man.
Yeah, he got the yips on the first one, man. That first kick was so far off to the left.
I was like, wee, wobbled away, dude. And his kicks, when he kicks the ball, it has this weird little wobble, dude, at the very end. I'm like, is that going to go and hit the goalpost? I was scared, man.
Rams beat the Seahawks 30-13. I'm not going to talk about that because my Seahawks are supposed to be the surprise, the dark horse there. The Rams, who are the third youngest team in the NFL right now, go on the road to beat the Seahawks 30-13.
That was an upset.
That was an upset. That was a big time upset. Geno Smith only 112 yards receiving. Matthew Stafford threw for 334. Welcome back. They also had 2 players with over 100 yards receiving, and I have never heard of these guys in my entire life. Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Dude, no Cooper Kupp. Someone's got to catch the ball. Somebody's got to catch the ball. But again, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're rocking it on all the podcast formats right now.
They're waiting for you to start talking about college football. We'll get there. Well, okay.
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and send some love, by the way. Okay. Because, Texas Longhorns, they upset the GOAT, Nick Saban, right? But the GOAT in real estate right now is Cynthia J. Sanchez from JPAR Real Estate. Cynthia J. Sanchez has been in business for 16 years. She's not just a realtor. She's a successful real estate agent. Her number right there, 210-273-0748. Hey, if you're looking for a primary residence, a rental property, an Airbnb, if you're looking for land, Cynthia J. Sanchez can make it happen. 210-273-0748. Again, if you're trying to buy a new house right now and you're like, man, 7-8% interest rates, no thank you.
4%,
5%, she can make it happen for new builds because she has some builders right now who are offering specials for the next 3, 4, 5 years to get you in there. Then you can refinance it later. But the fact of the matter is you can get that home that you want because real estate prices right now, kind of going downward a little
Starting
bit.
to finally level off a little bit.
Finally. So again, if you're still looking to try to get a house, don't wait for interest rates to go down. She can get you a decent interest rate right now on a brand new home.
Man, if you get an interest rate at 4%, keep it.
Exactly.
Keep
exactly. Her number there, 210-273-0748. She'll show you all the neighborhoods in town that have that good introductory rate there to get you that home that you want. 210-273-0748. Taking a look at the rankings right now in college football, according to the Associated Press, the Texas Longhorns got 2 first-place votes, but right now are number 4 in the nation. Number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 2, the Michigan Wolverines. Number 3, Florida State. Number 2, Texas Longhorns, after going into Tuscaloosa and upsetting the Alabama Crimson Tide. USC at number 5. Rounding out the top 10, you've got Ohio State, Penn State, Washington, Notre Dame, and as required by law, you can't kick Alabama out of the top 10. They are at number 10.
Even after the loss.
Don't know what else to say about the Longhorns, man, because the Longhorns played an excellent game. And they didn't go out there and just play to try to win the game. They were going for the heart. And it got me thinking about a couple of things. Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
He's legit.
He looked good. He looked really good.
And Cowboy fan and Longhorn fan are pretty much the same person. Longhorns won 34-24. But when you look at Quinn Ewers, that's a guy that should be the leader of this team. That's a guy that might actually be a long-term play for the Texas Longhorns. 24 for 38, 349, 3 touchdowns. This is somebody who's a sophomore. So Quinn Ewers is a sophomore from Southlake, Texas, and this season has thrown for 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Arch Manning, when is he going to sniff the field? Is it possible that Quinn Ewers is like Arch Manning? You got the name, but guess what, baby? I'm putting up the numbers. We're the number 4 team in the nation, for crying out loud. Are you trying to tell me that Arch Manning is as a freshman, behind this guy who's a sophomore, are you trying to tell me that Arch Manning is the future of this school?
It could be.
Is Quinn Ewers so good that maybe Arch Manning goes into the transfer portal?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Dude,
he's going to get mad.
He might send Arch's ass to the transfer portal, and guess where he would go? What state is he from?
Where's he from?
He's from Louisiana.
Oh, LSU.
LSU was the team that he kind of shunned at the end. It was one of the 3 or 4 schools that he was looking at.
You can come home.
Time to come home. and I said this last year. It's so funny because people come at me on Twitter going, when was the last time you had a good take? Well, fuck you, dude. I have good takes all the time. Quinn Ewers, I was talking about this last year. That Quinn Ewers was the truth. That I liked him. That this is somebody that you're bringing in an Arch Manning, and Arch Manning might not sniff the field because Ewers is that good. Had he not gotten hurt last year, Texas would have gone further.
Yeah.
So Texas has a very good problem right now because for a good part of a decade, who they had under center was not very good. I mean, Colt McCoy, and then after that,
that's who Ewers kind of reminds me of a little bit, but he's better than Colt.
No, I think Quinn is a smart quarterback. He knows his capabilities, and he goes towards his strengths. Texas being number 4 is a surprise. So I was wrong when it comes to. I was wrong with them saying that I didn't think they were going to beat Bama, though they came close last year.
Bama played them tough, man. And to Texas' credit, every time Bama would come and answer, they would answer back. And let's go ahead and say there was some ballsy calls from both sides in this game. And I was like, okay, they're playing to win, not playing to just, let's see if we can get the ball in our hands at the very end. They wanted to go ahead and put this one away.
And Pat McAfee was out there on the field.
Yeah, he was.
New with ESPN, along with Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
And dude, for so long I've been hating on Pat McAfee for the last 2 years.
Why?
Hanover Fist, by the way, says Ewer is definitely better quarterback than McCoy ever was.
He is. I think he is.
Chris reached out and says, let's not forget the Longhorns D-line, 5 serious national championship contenders. You can't argue with the fact of that. I mean, when you have on your resume, we beat Bama and Tuscaloosa, that affords Texas the ability to lose a game down the stretch.
Yeah.
Because the strength of schedule is so good and because they've got that signature victory. So if they lose to Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry game, that's fine. Because if they end the season at 10-1, they'll still be in the playoff. They won in Tuscaloosa. That is a big, big deal. Pat McAfee on the field. I have listened to Pat McAfee off and on for a couple of years. Can't stand him. The black wife beater and all that stuff, can't stand him. But when he made that move to ESPN and he dialed it down a little bit, dude, he's been so good.
He was just on the First Take the other day, and I said, you know what? I didn't see it live, but I saw it as a clip on Twitter. I said, let me see what he's going to say. I want to see how's his takes. He was actually very good. Surprised me. He like you said, he dialed it down a little bit, but he was very well-spoken in his takes. He was very intelligent when he was speaking.
You know, it's funny because Tim Spence would always tell me at San Antonio Sports Star that I would rely on other people too much, because they would rely on callers too much, rely on the producer too much. And sometimes it just has to be you. Yeah. And, you know, you need to be the personality 80% of the time, if not more. And I used to have that conversation with Spence back and forth. And I was thinking that this morning when watching Pat McAfee, because Pat McAfee has like 5 producers on the panel. It's one thing to have one.
He's got 5.
He's got like several on there, and he's trying to get them involved. And I'm thinking to myself, Pat, you're doing fine, dude. You're doing good on your own. Yeah. Just go with the guests. You know, have Adam Schefter on there. And when I saw McAfee with Shefty, I didn't know how those two would actually work together, but they actually fed off of each other very well. And so, man, McAfee right now did a fantastic job over the weekend. He did a really good job this morning, doing a very good job. I'm pleasantly surprised because I thought that was going to be a train wreck. And speaking of ESPN reached a deal with Spectrum. It's back on for Monday Night Football. Woo!
Yeah. Fans were excited, man. Yes. They were excited. They're like, finally, we don't have to go ahead and drop Spectrum. I know CT went ahead and canceled her Spectrum.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
It happens every 2 years, man.
She went to YouTube TV. She says, you know what? She was talking when she's like, man, fuck this shit. She goes, I'm canceling. And then she went and got YouTube TV.
I'm a big fan of YouTube TV, except when it rains. But it doesn't rain very often here in San Antonio. Hey, speaking of college football, found this to be interesting. We were going through the ratings right now, or the rankings rather, and the Texas Longhorns ranked at number 4, and deservedly so. They went into Tuscaloosa and won. But also in the top 20 is the Colorado Buffaloes, led by primetime Deion Sanders.
Hey, he's got his team playing at a high level. They won again.
This was a team that won only 1 game last year. 2 games into the season, 2-0 right now. Taking a look at the rankings, and Colorado is at number 18, ahead of Oklahoma. Okay.
That's surprising, man. This is the AP top 25, by the way. Yeah.
Now, I saw this thing on TikTok about betting, and this is something that Brandon Medina of the Fantasy Gods would love to hear about. Apparently, the casinos in Vegas lost their ass this weekend when it came to the Colorado Buffaloes, because Colorado has kind of captured the minds of people. And Colorado this past weekend, after beating TCU 45-42, they were 3 touchdown underdogs. And they go in there and they win. They played Nebraska and beat Nebraska 36-14.
The Cornhuskers, man.
90% of the action was people voting, or was people betting on Colorado, because they were cheering for Deion. And I saw this report saying that casino after casino after casino lost $3 to $4 million each based on that. And the big bubble that's going to burst when it comes to the casinos is the fact that the over-under on number of victories for Colorado this year was 3.5. And the number of people and the number of dollars that went over is so high.
Damn.
That they're going to lose millions more when it's all said and done.
They're going to try to find a way, man. Hey, we got to pay some refs or something.
It is, man, 3.5. That's a rock solid pick right there. And speaking of rock solid, diamond hard, we're talking about MCS Construction. The Leja family, baby. Chris Leja, one of our longtime listeners right there. Here's the thing about it, man. If you need to have some concrete placement work, MCS General Contracting is the place to go. 210-774-9155. 210-774-9155. Need a slab for a home, slab for a business, want to have an extension to your driveway? How about a parking lot for your new business? Or maybe you need to have it resurfaced.
Or maybe you need a new pool.
You need a new pool. Ramps, for those who need like the ADA compliance type of things. Dude, they do it right, and they do it right from the get-go. It's not the cheapest. They say, hey, we're not the cheapest, because the cheapest typically means you're going to have to get repairs 3, 4, 5 years later.
Yeah.
They want to get it done right the first time because you get what you pay for. MCS General Contracting, 210-774-9155. And like my good friend JJ Garena says, you own a business. How you design your parking lot is one of the biggest indicators as to whether or not your business will be a success or not. MCS General Contracting, 210-774-9155. All right, so is it time for me to apologize?
Oh, let's go ahead and let's see. I was going to say somebody had put something in here.
Chris Leja, speaking of which, says our concrete is like the UTSA fan base. Solid as fuck.
Okay. There you go. Okay, now you can talk. All
right. Thank you for the segue. Okay, so here's the thing. I was drunk off my ass at the UTSA game this weekend, right? I hadn't had any alcohol, like real alcohol. I'd had a beer, right? But I hadn't had any alcohol in about 5 or 6 weeks.
I can attest to this because when we went out the week previously and we're hanging out with Fernandez and Stephanie Mejia, you only had a couple beers and you're like, hey, man, I got to go. I'm already done because you hadn't drank in such a long time.
Right.
You're not used to it,
So before the game started, I picked up my boy Anthony, and I went to the liquor store that's right across from UTSA on 1604 and Babcock. And they have those single serving Fireballs, single serving, Jim Beam honey, single serving Jim Beam. And I show up with 3 10-packs. So I've got 30 shots right there. Throw them in my friend's cooler. And as I was going up and picking up one at a time, people were looking at me going, dude, you brought single servings? I'm like, yeah. Now, I joke when I said I had 7 or 8. I may have had 4 or 5. Okay. Let's just call it 5. Let's just call it at 5.
That's still a good amount of alcohol.
But part of it was I was baking in the sun for 4 hours before going in there because I was tailgating at 11:30.
Dude, the line to get in there was insane before they even opened the parking lot.
And the line to watch the team get off the bus and make their way into the dome.
Yeah.
It must have been about 140 degrees inside of that little concrete slab area. There was no wind coming through. By the time we got back up the stairs, it felt like we were, in Alaska. It was like we felt a cold breeze. So I had a few cocktails out there, had a few beers,
few of the libations,
some shotgun action. People coming up to me and saying hi and whatnot, having a grand old time. Now we go into the dome, and I'm watching the game, and again, I had made the decision to cheer for UTSA because again, I graduated from UTSA, but I went to Texas State for my sophomore and junior year. So I said, you know what? Whenever they play in San Antonio at the Dome, I'll wear UTSA gear. Whenever they play in San Marcos, I will wear Texas State gear. Just honor the home team because I have dual allegiance, dual citizenship for both of those schools.
I have a couple of a friend of mine who's a couple.
Mm-hmm.
My friend JC graduated from UTSA. His wife, Texas State.
Yeah.
They went and they have kids, and they took them to their first UTSA game. Half the kids wearing UTSA gear, the other half wearing Texas State gear.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So let's talk about the fan bases for both teams, okay? Because I will say this. The fan bases for both teams both suck.
No.
Okay? Texas State included. If you go to a game at Texas State, now it might be a little bit different because G.J. Kinney's the head coach over there, and they are a better program than previous years there in the Sun Belt. But you go to a Texas State game, and historically what ends up happening is you might have 15,000 people show up, but only 3,000 actually make their way into the game because the other 10 to 12,000 are just getting plastered out in the parking lot.
Yep.
And they go to party, not to go watch a football game. Okay. So I will say this about UTSA fan. UTSA fan will go to watch the game, but then again, UTSA fan is older because keep in mind, when you are in San Marcos, chances are you are not from there.
Yeah, he's coming from somewhere.
UTSA is still a commuter school, right? So when you go to a Texas State game, most of the fans that are in there are college kids, right? There's not mom and dad and uncle and aunt, and it's not a day out. But you go to a UTSA game, and they had the second biggest crowd of all time that they've had there, 49,000 plus. You go over to that game, though, what percentage of the crowd would you say is actually a student?
What, the UTSA games?
Yeah, 10%, 20%?
Out of a UTSA game?
Yes.
Here in San Antonio?
Yes.
I think it's going to be higher than that.
Dude, they're not. It's a bunch of uncles and aunts and moms and kids. It's a family affair over there. The student section at UTSA at the Alamo Dome does a very good job. So the student section, which probably comprises 20 yards of the field, does a very good job. So I would say that that's probably 4,000 to 5,000 fans.
Yeah. Well, my daughter was there in the student section.
Yeah.
She was at the game.
They do a great job.
Yeah.
Student section, fantastic job. I have no problem with the students. My problem with the fans is everybody older than 30. Awful. I sat in the 5th row in the end zone, right behind the goalpost.
Okay.
I didn't hear shit the entire game.
Oh God.
3rd and 1, right? 3rd and 1. We gotta get a stop here. People were filing their nails. People were yawning. People were laying back. People were on their phones. And it was quite pathetic. And this is the 2nd year in a row where I've had that. And it's funny because I hear all of these reports about the decibel level of it. It didn't come from the fans, dude. Any decibel level that came from the marching bands, or it came from the Jumbotron or the PA announcer or whatever the case may be. The fans outside of the student section suck ass. But at least they go to the game, right? Because at Texas State, you got 3,000, 4,000 people go to the game, maybe 5,000 who go to the game. They're drunk when they get inside there and there's no one else there. Texas State fans sucks for a different reason. UTSA, you got 49,300 people in there and you can't make any noise. And then afterwards, people are sending me, they're tagging me in these tweets about Coach Traylor saying, man, that crowd was great. And you see that, Jimenez? What else is he going to say? Is he going to say, hey, man, thank you to the 49,000 fans who came out here, but you guys were shit? You think he's really going to say that? No. He's not going to say that.
I thought, from talking
you were at the game, right?
I wasn't at the game.
Okay.
My daughter was. And I was talking with my daughter afterwards, and I was telling her, well, how was the noise, from where you were sitting? How was the crowd? She's like, they were good. She goes, it was loud where I was at, but she was in the student section.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, it was fine. It was loud.
Student
we're having
great.
fun.
Student section's great.
Yeah.
Student section's great. Joe Gonzalez was announced saying, Jimenez is not wrong. Family affair. And we're old and drunk, Vato. Everyone napping from the pinche drinking.
You get in there and you get in the 72-degree Alamo Dome.
Mario, Mike, it's the truth 100%. Section 116, according to Mike Baez, was lit. Don't know what Mike was talking about. Like I said, if it's close to the student section, you're perfectly fine. And maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to buy tickets closer to that so that I can get it all riled up. Because when you have, the testosterone of an 18, 19, 20-year-old young man screaming at the top of their lungs for their team, that's so cool. The further you get from that, I was making the joke. I was like, I could do my taxes over here.
Oh my God.
Like, seriously, you could hear a pin drop. Dude, I was afraid to fart in the stands because people would hear it. and that shouldn't be the case in something that's 49,000 fans there.
You know what I attribute it to too is like the fans, they're making noise. But I think the thing for you, and you're like, well, it doesn't sound as loud, it's quiet. I think it has to do a lot with the way that the Alamo Dome is built. It's very cavernous.
I've given that as the excuse for a long time, and I see what you're going with that.
Yeah, I mean, it gets loud. When they get loud, you can hear.
The problem that I was taking photos and videos of, it's 3rd and 1. No one's standing up. No one's cheering. No one's booing. And do you know what I think it is? I was telling my friend Anthony on this on the way home. Spurs fans are very educated. When you go to the Frost Bank Center, and you watch the Spurs play, the Spurs fans know when it's time to cheer. They know when it's time to boo, when it's time to say defense, when it's time to stand up, when there's a bad call, to argue about something. Spurs fans instinctively know, because we're educated as basketball fans. We know what's up. The people who go to the UTSA football games are not educated in football. I'm not saying in life. That's not where I'm going with. They're not educated in football. Like, when is the appropriate time to make noise? When is the appropriate time that maybe, just maybe, the crowd needs to get a beat for a particular play? Because that was a 20-13 game. And a lot of people are trying to I'm going to clown you, Jimenez. UTSA beat Texas State. Ha. You went to both schools. Ha. And I'm like, dude, you guys were favored by 2 touchdowns. You won by 1. Frank Harris, by the way, suffered an injury, has a toe injury. Greg Luca of San Antonio Express News posted video on Twitter of head coach Jeff Traylor today saying that they're just taking it day by day on it all.
Yeah, I have video of that as well, because I got it from my boy JJ Perez. So I can play that for you, because they asked him right out, what's the update on Frank Harris? And he just wouldn't say, So let's go ahead and play that.
Yeah.
Jeff, what's the outlook for Frank Harris after he got banged up a little bit Saturday?
It'll be interesting to see. Those things they're worse the next day than they are in the moment.
You can barely hear him. But he's basically saying he said it'll be interesting to see how that progresses this week. And he didn't say if he was going to play him or what was the extent of the injury itself.
Right. Now, Greg Luca of the San Antonio Express News asked the question, is it important to bring him back for a non-conference game, or should UTSA just focus on conference games and have him healthy by then? And Traylor came back and said, I understand what you're asking. It's a very difficult question to answer because they want to win all the games.
Yeah.
This is Harris's last year with the team, with the program. So he wants to be out there as often as possible. Harris is somebody who's had knee injuries in the past. This is a toe injury. And he says that he feels weird to say that it's a toe injury, but that prevents you from doing what you do. Head coach Jeff Traylor says that when it comes to Frank Harris, that he doesn't know how to give himself up on certain plays, that he's always fighting for that extra yard, which might seem like it's manly and ballsy, but sometimes it's dangerous to do that. And so UTSA wins this game. They're 1-1 on the season. UTSA is also a team that has not covered one spread this year, which means that according to the eyes of the experts in Vegas and whatnot, they're underachieving. But the next game for the UTSA Roadrunners right now is going to be a home game Friday night, not Saturday, Friday night against Army. And then they've got an SEC battle on the road against Tennessee on September 23rd.
And let's throw the big middle finger to whoever released this fucking schedule, bro. You're going to have a game on Friday at 6 p.m.?
Like traffic's going to be awful.
People are getting out of work around that time.
Wait. Does this mean tailgate starts at 2?
Probably. I mean, it's on a Friday. I'm like, come on.
Woo. Tailgate, baby. Tailgate.
Oh man, you need to turn your phone off. You need to put it in a locker, bro.
No apologies to be had, but this is going to be a game, as Tim Gonzalez reaches out to remind us, that is going to be on ESPN. Hannah Mafis says, feel you on crowd, Jimenez. Been to some high school games, more hype than some UTSA games.
Jeez.
Dude, I have taken SAT tests that were louder than the crowd at UTSA games. And it's because, as people mentioned on here, they're agreeing with me, saying that Jonathan C., UTSA fans got those tickets because they ordered a large pizza with wings from Pizza Hut. Others say that they're T-shirt fans. They're not diehard fans of this. So it's weird to be in a room of 49,000 people where 30,000 are there because they want the experience, not because they give a crap about what's going on the field. And you can tell the student section is fine. The student section was rocking.
Yeah.
Love those kids.
My
That's
daughter
great.
doesn't know a lot about football. She just wants to be there to support her school.
But she's cheering.
But she's cheering.
She's
Her and her
cheering.
friends are cheering.
She's cheering.
And of course, they get the tickets, come on, because
Yeah.
they're students,
Yeah.
So they're there and they're having a good time.
You can also have a good time over at Serenity Manor over in Old Town Helotes. Go check them out. It's been a couple weeks since I've been there. I need to go back out there. Serenity Manor is a social events venue, and they've been a sponsor of us from day one. 14405 Old Bandera Road in Helotes, Caddy Corner, or as the cool kids say, Kitty Corner from Flores Country Store. We like to go there because on Thursdays, every other Thursday, they have karaoke night. Every other Thursday, they have a game night. Food truck shows up. Amazing food out there. You can go out to Serenity Manor for beer, for wine, for margaritas, and take a look at the photos that we're showing right now on our YouTube stream. It's a beautiful outdoor venue. And guess what? This weekend, Joe, I'm taking a look at the high temperatures this weekend. 89 degrees.
Nice.
As a high temperature this weekend, 89, 90, and 91. The weather is getting nicer to be outdoors. And if you need an outdoor venue, Serenity Manor, 14405 Old Bandera Road. They also have an indoor venue there with the hardwood floors. You can have a wedding reception there, quinceañera, sweet 16, bridal shower. If you want to have family reunion,
yeah,
holiday events, Christmas party,
Friendsgiving,
something. Go out there, Serenity Manor, 14405 Old Bandera Road. Check out their website as well, because you're going to take a look at this venue and go, wow, I didn't realize that's so close, because it looks like you're out in the middle of the hill country, which, don't get me wrong, Helotes kind of is, but you're so close to 1604. It's only like 2 or 3 miles outside the loop. They do a fantastic job out there. Again, Serenity Manor, 14405 Old Bandera Road in Helotes, Texas, 78023.
Yeah, and when Flores Country Store has concerts, after the concert, go across the street.
They stay open till midnight.
Yeah.
They stay open till midnight. Instead of having to fight your way to the bar, just mosey on over.
Get you a beer.
Get you some wine. Also want to give a shout out to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. Moneybags soon will be in San Antonio. Moneybags has been hosting Locked On Spurs. It's a great podcast.
And today I'm the guest.
Oh, you're the guest today.
Yes.
Very nice. What's the topic?
Today we're talking about how many seasons, or how far away do we think the Spurs are from being in that conversation of, finally being able to get into the playoffs, and not just the play-in, but a legitimate 6 seed, 7 seed. It's like how many seasons away are they from that? So that's one of the topics. The other topic that we're talking about today is, what area of improvement do we really want to see as far as Jeremy Sohan is concerned? What aspect of his game does he need to really improve upon this upcoming season? So we talked about that as well.
That would be this year.
Yeah,
Spurs are making the playoffs this year.
You think so?
Spurs are making the playoffs.
Not as a play-in?
It might be as a play-in, but I think they have a legit shot at the number 6. I think worst case scenario is play-in this year. But again, Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs. He's also the lead writer for Ken's 5 as well. You can go on there. This is going to be daily content, especially when things get ramped up in October. Daily content when it comes to your silver and black. I subscribe 2 places. I subscribe on YouTube, because it's YouTube page.
Yeah.
And a lot of the interviews that they do, the podcasts are just like this show, done on YouTube. But also, when I'm out and about and I can't watch it on YouTube, I check it out on Spotify. When I click onto my Spotify, It's one of the first things next to Taylor Swift. It's one of the first things that you'll see over there is the Locked On Spurs podcast because, again, Jeff Garcia does a fantastic job. Joe Garcia is on today. I've been on there from time to time. Jeff Garcia, Locked On Spurs. Money bags, baby. Money bags. Now, you were telling me that Shams Charania of The Athletic was reporting today, and I'm going to call this up real fast because he tweeted something out there.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and show it here on screen.
Let's see here.
Him and Adrian Wojnarowski are reporting the same thing. And what they're saying is the NBA Board of Governors is expected to vote this week on a new policy that a team is unable to rest 2 star players in the same game. Sources tell The Athletic and Stadium, many league discussions over the past 1 to 2 years have centered around stars playing more and curbing load management. So basically the definition of this is if your team has more than one all-star, you're not going to be able to rest both your all-stars for load management, meaning that the league is going to force you to play at least one of those all-stars at all times.
Interesting. Wouldn't have affected the team this year because there's no all-stars. But back in the day when you had Tim, Tony, and Manu, and Pop was resting people, I hate to say it this way because Pop is the GOAT.
Yeah.
I mean, Pop is the GOAT. But the fact of the matter is that what has gone on when it comes to load management was started by him. And other teams took note. And for the NBA to come in and lay the hammer down and tell teams, essentially the teams that they're telling right now are the Boston Celtics. They're telling this to the Lakers. They're telling this to the Denver Nuggets. They're telling this to, the Bucks, the Sixers. These are the teams that they're talking about right now.
Yeah, and here's the latest, too, from Adrian Wojnarowski. Under the new rules, teams will be fined $100K for their first violation, $250K for the second violation, and $1 million more than the previous penalty for each additional violation.
Wow.
And that is per Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN.
Just call it the Pop rule. Just call it the Pop rule. Let's get some entertainment news going on in here.
Yeah, so before we go ahead and do that, I got to go. Well, I can't play the intro because I don't have it loaded up. So
okay, no problem.
No problem.
I'll do the song. Hey, entertainment news. It's funny because last Friday I brought up the fact that I saw a TikTok that I thought was valid, and I was like, oh my god, this really is going to be a powder keg that blows up, involving Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Now, I'm a fan of both.
Yeah.
Mila Kunis, not only from That 70s Show, they're both from That 70s Show, but I love Mila Kunis in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. The Bad Moms movies, she did a fantastic job in as well. Ashton Kutcher has not only done That 70s Show, but he was also in various movies like the one with Cameron Diaz. He was in The Ranch on Netflix as well.
Yeah.
He even starred as Stephen Jobs in that movie Jobs back in the day. They canceled themselves. They did this to themselves.
You want me to play it?
In 1 second. They're apologizing because of what happened or what got revealed. And this is a textbook example of apologizing not because you're sorry, but because you got caught. Danny Masterson, who was the guy who played Stephen Hyde in That 70s Show. I loved this show. He was convicted of multiple forcible rapes. And there was also another accuser that he did not get convicted of. He's now facing 30 years to life in prison. And Danny Masterson is somebody who had had a successful career in Hollywood. And these were incidents that happened back in 2001 all the way through 2003. Now, before he was to be sentenced, judges oftentimes receive letters of support from the defendants, friends, family, and things like that.
Acquaintances.
Now, here's the thing. Before we play this video, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher, who were co-stars on that show, they ended up getting married years later. Ashton Kutcher was married to Demi Moore. They got divorced. Mila Kunis was with Macaulay Culkin for about a decade. Then they broke up. And then these two who were co-stars on That 70s Shows for many years, they got married years later. That being said, they have a foundation that they take part in, that they help run, and they're the faces of, that is about stopping child trafficking and the sexual victimization of people. And for them to write a letter in support of their friend who was convicted of not one, but multiple forcible rapes showed their fucking hypocrisy right there. And then they released this apology, which I find to be 100% total bullshit.
Very reluctantly, it appears. And so I think it almost undermines.
Okay.
I'm not.
Seeing character just say no. So
they didn't.
And there were.
They're talking about.
Let's see if you can find it on the other
Yeah,
side. So basically, what ends up happening is Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher show up, and they release this apology, which looks so odd because Mila Kunis, who's a beautiful actress, I mean, just beautiful, she looks like she's been crying. And she's sitting there in a gray t-shirt. And her husband, Ashton Kutcher, who is a former model himself, is going out there and just basically saying, he's doing the whole, hey, I know this upset a lot of people. We're sorry if it hurt some people. But we stand by victims and things like that. Okay, let's see if we got it.
Okay, yep. This is the official video. This is actually from their Ashton Kutcher's official Instagram account.
Okay.
So
that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
All right.
We are
now. Fuck you both. Okay, real fast. Leave that.
It on?
Leave it back on.
Okay.
Real fast. Don't play, but leave it back on. Notice something right here on the Instagram page. No comments yet.
they shut them off.
They shut them off.
Yeah,
Pussies.
that's
Both of them.
That's probably from their PR people.
Dude, their PR people would never have allowed them to release that video. That is a tragically bad video. That is a dumpster fire of an apology.
I think
fire of an apology.
I think they were pressured maybe from their PR people, which was a bad move on their part to go ahead and actually do this kind of a video. I think it would have been better if they would have written something out, maybe put it up on Instagram, put it up on social media as far as trying to save face. But them coming out like this, it's just a bad look.
There's a lot going on when it comes to this. First of all, Danny Masterson, who is very, very talented at what he does. Okay.
Yeah.
He's married, I believe, to Bijou Phillips. And there's this weird thing going on. By the way, it wasn't just these two that wrote a letter.
Yeah, it was more.
It was Deborah Jo Rupp, who played the mom on that 70s show. It was the guy who played the dad on that 70s show. Billy Baldwin wrote one. And Giovanni Ribisi, the actor, also wrote one as well. Ashton Kutcher and said something on there that said, this was for the judge to read. To me, that meant you guys weren't supposed to find out.
They didn't think that it was going to be made public.
This got leaked.
Yeah.
And not only did it get leaked that something was written, the entire fucking letter was leaked.
Yeah, it
for
was.
both of them. And these are two people who say that they are supportive of victims, that they run a nonprofit in support of people who've been trafficked and all that. And then when it's one of their friends who gets convicted of forcible rape, they're like, but this is my friend. I've known him for 25 plus years. I don't think that he's a menace to society. That's what Ashton Kutcher said. I don't think that he is. Yeah. He's somebody that is going to be a risk to anybody else. You've got to be out of your fucking mind. And these two right here have canceled themselves. They are done. They are done because of the hypocrisy. Now let's go ahead and bring it on back a little bit.
Okay.
Frank Boteo reaches out and says, I believe that this belittles Ashton Kutcher and what he has done. And that's the thing about it. It does belittle what they've done over the years. Frank says, I think less of Ashton Kutcher and it belittles his work and his organization. Agreed. Now let's think back about this show because I feel so ugly about this. This is kind of like R. Kelly music at this point.
Oh,
or
man,
Michael
yeah.
Jackson. Can you separate the two? Because whenever I hear Michael Jackson, I think to myself, you do realize he was probably a pedophile, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then R. Kelly,
yeah, well, he's just a freak,
was a
man.
groomer, right? 12 Play, great album. I don't see nothing wrong. Come on. Great album. We all loved it. But you can't separate the artist from the music sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you think about this entire whole situation, Danny Masterson convicted of multiple forcible rapes. Danny Masterson, who was part of Scientology, and Scientologists are known for being very protective to the point where they harass.
Yeah.
And the victims have said that they were harassed, that they were being followed by members of that church or that organization. So let's go through the list of people there. You had Danny Masterson, who's the rapist. You have Ashton Kutcher, and you have Mila Kunis. Mila Kunis was 14 years old when that show started.
Yeah.
And she's making out with Ashton Kutcher on that show when he was 19. How Fox got away with it, I don't know. And Fox says, well, we didn't know her real age, as if social security numbers don't fucking exist. I never bought that.
Yeah.
Okay. 19 and 14. Probably shouldn't have happened, right? Wilmer Valderrama. He was known for what? Grooming Lindsay Lohan, grooming Mandy Moore, and being an outright perv. Okay, it's okay to be horny, but to be pervy is completely different. And he's out there grooming people. And right now, he's probably laying in bed with some 19-year-old chick because he's a fucking perv. Laura Prepon was also in Scientology, but she has backed out, and she hasn't been there for 5 years.
Yeah, so was Leah Remini.
Leah Remini was mentioning the fact she's even done podcasts about Danny Masterson and saying all the things that has been done to protect him. But I go back to this whole cast. There was a documentary done about that 70s show that showed Topher Grace, who played Eric Foreman, arguably the lead actor of that show. Same age as these guys. He didn't want to hang out with any of those fools.
Yeah, yeah, he didn't.
And I was listening to a podcast this morning, Whitney Cummings, who is has been for many years a raunchy comedian.
Yeah.
She had a show called Whitney that I thought was completely underrated, which, by the way, starred Chris D'Elia, who's also a pedophile. No, wait, he's not a pedophile. He's a groomer. Backtrack. He's a groomer. That being said, I saw these TikToks about that 70s show and some of the things that the cast was saying back in the day, behind the scenes things that they were saying. Dude, they were creepy and pervy, man.
Yeah, man. Low key, I think it happens in a lot of these sitcoms, from back in the day.
Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, a lot of stuff was going on behind the scenes, dude.
Topher Grace seemed like the only normal one there, and he did not want anything to do with them. So Whitney Cummings interviewed him, and it's this long thing that they had. And I was listening to this because I saw a TikTok about it, and I had already heard that because I listened to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
I had heard it before, and Whitney Cummings was like, "We were nerds who loved to act, but we didn't want to be part of the party scene. We didn't want to be part of the media thing." And I like Topher Grace. There's a movie called In Good Company. It's with him and Dennis Quaid and Scarlett Johansson. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I think I have.
In Good Company. It's about a young man who is promoted at this one business, and now Dennis Quaid is under him.
Ah.
And like Dennis Quaid is like 50 and he's 25. And it's like the dynamic between all that. In Good Company is a very, very solid movie. He was also in a movie with Laura Linney. And then I'll also remember that Topher Grace had a cameo in one of the Ocean's movies. I think it was Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
When he and Joshua Jackson of Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, they were playing cards.
Yeah. He seems like the normal one. And when I listen to this podcast where he's talking about, he kind of insinuated that there was so much badness going on behind the scenes. He didn't say it, but he said it.
Yeah.
He's in a very diplomatic, very offhanded way, but saying, I didn't want to deal with any of the stuff that was going on over there. They called me a shutout. They called me a loner, but really I was just being a good person. So if he's being a good person, that means he thought his castmates were bad people.
Yeah.
Frank reaches out and says, I think a lot of Hollywood people are perverse and shady. That's why I prefer comedians. They're paid to be honest and funny. Whitney Cummings being one of them.
Yeah, and somebody just said something about her here.
Yeah, Josh Jimenez says Whitney Cummings is awesome and massively underrated. That show was great. Whitney was a great show. That was a very good show.
Yeah.
Chris Gonzalez reminding us that it was beyond Mandy Moore and Lindsay Lohan that Wilmer Valderrama also.
Oh yeah, Demi Lovato
also groomed Demi Lovato. So this is a guy that's in his 30s, trying to get girls in their teens. I do like the fact that someone did mention, Chris Gonzalez mentioning that Whitney Cummings also was the person who developed Two Broke Girls, which was a great show. That's one of the shows that I have on the background when I'm doing work at home, when I'm slinging those investments and insurances. Two Broke Girls.
Yeah.
I'll take whichever girl you don't want, dude.
Kat Jennings.
Kat Dennings? Oh, my goodness. Dude. Kat Dennings.
Smoking. Nugget.
Oh, it's beyond Nugget, dude. It's beyond Nugget. She's the goth Nugget.
Oh, man.
This has been a fun show, man. Josh reaching out to us saying Topher Grace was on a sitcom called Home Economics on ABC. It's really good. A lot of grace for Topher. It's a good way of putting it, man. Good way of putting it. And that's the thing about it is that, you know, we all have friends that mess up sometimes. And we all have friends who sometimes get on the opposite side of the law. And it's okay to be supportive of your friends when they're going through stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is that there are times and there are certain charges where that is not it.
Yeah.
And just because somebody is a good person to you doesn't mean that they're not a monster to somebody else.
That's true.
They're being judged on them being a monster, not on the good times that you had while watching the Spurs play or watching the Cowboys play. Cowboys, they get the big victory 40-0. Saints got the big victory 16-15. My daughter just texted me right now that the game that we're going to go to, LSU Arkansas, in a week and a half is going to have a 6:30 game, which is great because Death Valley at night is wonderful. So I'm looking forward to that. But this has been Mondays with Mike.
Yeah.
See if we can make it a thing. You know, it's
the perfect day for you to come out because you get to talk about the weekend of sports.
And I get to backtrack or double down on what I said on Twitter over the weekend.
Yeah, take away your phone. Let's take away the phone.
Cowboys are 1-0. Saints are 1-0. Let's make it 2-0 this time next week, shall we? Everyone, thank you for following along on our YouTube stream. If you're listening to us in the future, thank you so much for that. Thank you to our sponsors as well. But everyone have a safe day out there. And it's going to be 89 degrees on Saturday.
Thank God.
Let's look forward to it. Friday night football for UTSA? I'm going to be drunk at 3 p.m. on a Friday.
You probably will be, dude.
Going to be up in the club on a Friday.
We'll see. You better get Ubered there, man.
Gus's Chicken right afterwards.
There you
This
go.
has been fun. See you guys next time.
All right. Peace.